Hello, YouTube. Rick Farrah checking in from Briarville, the repair and restoration shop at Joe Case Pipes. Hey, let's start this thing off right. Here's my Nording. What a shock. But what's in it is... How many old guys like me, and maybe even some of the younger folk out there, have you ever heard of Bengal slices? It was a fabulous tobacco in the 80s. And it was one of my favorites back then when I was just a young buck. Well, they went out of business in the 80s. And that was kind of sad because all of a sudden you couldn't get stuff anymore. The prices skyrocketed on the now on the auction sites for some of that old stuff that's never been opened in the tins. As you know, I think I was out there just looking around, just curious the other day. It was like $140 for a tin of this stuff. Well, a couple of friends of mine and clients created Standard Tobacco of Pennsylvania. Simon and Dan over there are working on this. Now, Simon's a big shot British lawyer, that acquisition attorney, and he acquired the patents for 4 fabulous tobaccos, one of which was Bengal slices. He also got the patents for the John Cotton series. There are three blends: John Cotton 1, John Cotton 1 and 2, and John Cotton Smyrna. Those tobaccos are available for pre-order right now on pipesandcigars.com. They match the artwork on the tins. And I'll put a picture of it so you can see what I'm talking about. Better yet, just go out to the Briarville Facebook page at facebook.com/Briarville. And I've got the pictures of the new tins out there. Also in a review of the John Cotton series from Pipes and Cigars. But they're working with a tobacconist, and for the life of me, I forgot his name, and I didn't bother to look it up before starting this video. This just suffice it to say, they did very well, because the Bengal slices tastes hauntingly the same as it did back then. I mean, it was like a ghost that has returned, hence hauntingly. Did you catch that? It's fantastic stuff. So moving along, working with this tobacconist to recreate the recipes. And Lane tobacco, of course, you know, everybody's heard of Lane 1Q, Captain Black, the largest tobacco manufacturer in the country out of Georgia. They're putting it all together for them, and Pipes and Cigars are distributing for it. And Simon, kudos to you for putting all that together. And quit throwing your meerschaums at your secretary, so you're keeping me way too busy. Kudos to them, because they nailed it, guys. And if you really like these success stories and something you may want to try yourself, try these tobaccos, because they did a fabulous job. Now, these are just the industry samples he sent out to me. The tins are only available right now for the John Cotton series, and the others will be released at the first of the year. So, you know, and Simon and Dan, congratulations on that. I mean, you guys, it's just, I know, you know, I've been talking to you about it for a year now, and it's finally come to fruition, and I think that's just a testimony to you guys' hard work and a success we really admire here at Briarville. Anyway, I did want to shout out to my buds over there and for doing a fine job with all of this. Set that over there. I'm going to put some more. I'm almost out. I'm going to put some more of that in here in just a sec. One thing I wanted to show you, something that comes into the shop from time to time, something that happens to all of us from time to time, and I'm going to need a stunt pipe to show you to start this thing off with. because like a bonehead, I forgot to take the before shots. And please, I know, I get it, guys. I get all your emails. I get all your comments. You want to see more of the before stuff instead of the after stuff. But I'm a bonehead. I forget. I get excited about the project and forget to take the shot. And so, anyway, suffice it to say, it wasn't quite this bad. It's our poor stunt pipe here. But it did have the same problem on the shank. Ryan in Missouri dropped his pipe, and obviously it hit wrong, and like it's happened to all of us, the shank broke, everything broke, it just went nuts. Favorite pipe, what do? Well, you send it to old Rick is what you do. So, actually there was a couple of them that had the same problem. I guess, well, never mind. I'll keep those comments to myself. But there's a couple of ways to approach this, which is why I wanted to bring it up. The first way, on this first one, it's a little Stanwell, and it's a nice little, just a few minute smoker. I mean, you probably do a bowl in this little acorn in probably 15-20 minutes, and fits very nicely in your pocket. And but its downfall, it is very light and it is very thin, and then the shank broke on it. So what we did is we just simply on this one is just cut it back just past the break, and then refit the mortise, and or resize the mortise to where it would take it. We got lucky because on this one anyway, because as you know, a lot of times the shanks will taper down, towards the stem, and then the stem will have to be replaced because the original stem would be too small as we proceeded into the thickness of the shank. But this one, as you can see, there wasn't a lot of taper there. We were able to just match it up pretty good. But one of the problems was, and we'll get it up here so you can see, is that this was a Stanwell. This is a Stanwell, and the break got into the stamping, which also weakens that spot right there, which could have contributed to the break in the first place. But cutting it back removed the stand and left the well, and I didn't want it to look like it was repair. I wanted the pipe to look like it was brand new again. I think we pretty much accomplished that. I just rusticated out the stamping that was right there, and then we recontrast dyed it to bring out the lovely grain that's in this thing, and make it pop a little more. So it's got a little new rustication. Just had to basically clean up the stem, and then I colored the S, the Stanwell S, in there, and made it pop a little bit, and it came out very, very nice, and certainly worthy of the rotation, and that will be heading back next week. There's another one. We had to take a little different approach. The break was rather large, and we had to take quite a bit of the shank off. And I thought that it would have looked funny. I didn't think the pipe would keep the same characteristic, that nice smooth flow and the lines there, with it being shortened. So what I did is I fashioned an acrylic mortise for it, and a shank extension, and we put that in there, and we just used some tortoise that we had here around the shop, not the little reptile, but the tortoise acrylic. No, PETA, stay off my back this time, all right? We were talking about the acrylic, not the little things we like to eat. Anyway, so this was in pretty tough, rough shape. This looked a little more close to our stunt pipe than what it does now. And it had, when this one was dropped, it also had a crack that went across there. It created a crack that went across there. So that was a challenge we had to get rid of. And as you can see, we did that. Getting everything to match up in size, we had to re-rusticate, sand down this and some and re-rusticate it. And then we just matched the stem back to what we've done. And as you can see, the rim was shot too. The rim literally did look like that, you know. So we went ahead and took care of that while we were doing that. But the goal is to get the pipe worthy of the rotation, and I think we accomplished that. So there you have it. Sometimes give you a little tip too, a real tip this time. Sometimes the stems will go in there and not fit very well and squeak and sound like, and feel like they're going to break. Well, you can lubricate those. And the way we do it here in the shop is we basically use beeswax. You can pick it up at a hobby store. But clean off the tenon and clean out the mortise with using some denatured alcohol, not the isopropyl, but the denatured. The isopropyl leave a residue. And just put a little beeswax. Not a lot, because you can crack a shank, and let me tell you, I'm serious about that. Don't use a lot of this, and be very, very careful, because if you get crazy with it and crack a shank, I don't want to hear your complaints. You know, you've been warned right now. So just a little tiny bit, and you can see what I'm talking about there. All right. It's not going to be much of a chance to crack this shank because it's, as you know, it's acrylic, but it did kind of squeak a little bit. So you put just a little bit, and guys, I'm serious, a little bit. You'll crack the shank if you don't. Lord knows. I do. And just put it in there, and then just lubricate the inside of the mortise. And that squeaking goes away. There is a, so you can tell, there's no, and it makes it fit nice. It's lubricated. Don't use too much of it. I'm serious about that, y'all. You're gonna go put it in there and it's gonna crack, and you're gonna be pissed off because you're gonna have to send it to me to band it, and you need to avoid that. Another way to do it is, which I don't use here in the shop, but I've heard other people say that they can pull the stem out and use a lead pencil, use the graphite and the lead to also lubricate your mortise tenon fit. You might try that first and see if that helps, and then you don't have to go to the hobby store to pick up the beeswax. So there you have it. Just a quick video. Say hey. Thanks so much for the business. Keep it coming. We are as close as your mailbox is, you know. Time to get your collection up in shape. We like doing the service work as opposed to the repair work, because we know you're pissed when your pipes break. But when you want them to come back looking like new, and just because they're nasty, send them in. We're as close as your mailbox. Anyway, you guys are a lot of fun. Thanks so much for all the businesses, and as much as my brother-in-law cringes every time I say it, this is Briarville, the repair and restoration shop at Joe Case Pipes. Check out his website. Talk to you later.